Hey guys, welcome back to Bespoke in the Burbs. This week's episode is all about painting, but more importantly, all the prep work for the painting. Hi, I'm Ramsin Khachi. I'm the founder and principal of Khachi Design Build and Stone Lab Surfaces. I've been in the design and construction industry for over 25 years. I've decided to do an entire series around my own personal real estate investment. I'll be taking a builder's custom-like home and then taking it to an entirely new level. Welcome to Bespoke in the Burbs. Now, if you've watched me before, you've always heard me say that the prep work is the most important. Just like anything in construction, when you're building it, if your walls are not straight, I don't care what you do with the drywall, the plastering, the painting, you just can never correct it. So it's really important to fix every step along the way. So we've spent a lot of time making sure that all the foundational work is done well, and now when it gets on to finishing, we want to make sure we prep things right before the painting happens. Now we're wrapping up the dining room here. Some really cool detail in here. Put this beadboard paneling as a wainscoting, so you can see this stuff here. I found this at Brenlo. Brenlo is a great trim supplier, and I love some of the trim they have. They just started making this beadboard in different sizes. So this one is about 3/4 inch beads, and you can see they lap over each other. Once they're installed, you get this beautiful look on the wainscoting on the walls. Now, Benny is the installer from Marciano's, and he's done all the trim work in this house. This is where he stopped. He's been kind enough to get these two last pieces ready for me. He's got them cut. He's even got the chair rail cut and ready to go. So, simple thing. All you need is some adhesive, some wood glue, nail gun, a nut driver or a screwdriver here, and I'm going to show you how all those come into play. And I'll just show you how simple it is to apply this to the wall. So a bead of caulking or adhesive. In this case, I'm using PL adhesive. The panels go into place. I like to slide them up and down to make sure that they set into the glue. We'll use a cordless nailer, and I'm just going to go on the inside here where they overlap, so we have less nails to fill when it comes to the prep work. And I'm going to put a couple on this end to hold this end down. One there and one there. Lastly, this final piece should be cut to size. We're going to make sure it goes in. And that's in as well. A couple of nails. Then it's time for the chair rail. The chair rail is also from Brenlo, and it was about 2.5 inches deep. I had him cut it down so that it's only about 1 inch deep. You get about 5/8 of a ledge underneath that caps onto here. We're gonna glue the joints because all the miters should be glued for a nice strong hold so that it doesn't come apart. Once we get what's left of this glue out, and we get that into place. Once we get that miter lined up, we're going to put a couple of nails in, and once the nails are in, we're going to drive a screw in to hold it tight against the wall. So one nail on this side, one nail here, and then these screws are pre-drilled at every point where there's a stud, and that makes sure of two things. Number one, it's pulled tightly against the wall so you don't have this gap cracking. Number two, this is a great place to put the screw in because it's easier to fill on this top part. You don't want to fill on the profile because that profile is hard to sand, so it hides it better right there. That's it. That's all you got for the look. I noticed here it's holding out a little bit. You can always fix all this stuff with another nail. There we go. And it's time for prep work. Next thing, go around the house, fill all the nail holes, sand them smooth, make sure they don't shrink and become concave. Sometimes they need a second application. If you do that now, the painting will turn out to be pristine. Rushed down here because I thought there was painters coming in today. I was in a panic making sure I had all the colors selected and everything in order, and nobody's here. So they're not starting the painting yet, which is okay because it gives me a little bit of time. What I did is I scheduled the check measure for all the Hunter Douglas blinds. So now we've wired in for all the blinds, but it's time to check measure them. I've gone based on basic measurements, costed them out the way I want. They come and do a site measure and a check measure to make sure everything fits perfect. That's what we're doing today. It's actually good that the painters didn't show up. I can get all these little things out of the way. That's good, eh?
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so Hunter Douglas left, they did their check measure. Clive and Steve are just doing these trim pieces on the theater walls. Now, before you put your final pieces on, here's a great tip. Use test pieces, especially when you get complicated angles like this or when you're doing crown molding. That way you get the corners perfect. Clive's got them perfect now. Now he can cut the main pieces, all the final finishing pieces. Everything will fit together nicely and we'll wrap this up. So there you go. This is where all your math comes into play. And we're still gonna screw it up. So it's a new day, and although I was expecting painters to show up this week, guess what showed up? Some cabinet boxes for the laundry rooms. How stressful is that? So normally I would never in my schedules have any cabinetry go in till all the trim or all the spraying is done of the trim. In this case, that's the way they run the schedule, so I just have no choice but to kind of go with it. What I'm gonna do is answer all the questions for Aya Kitchens. That's who's doing these laundry cabinets. I'm gonna answer all the questions as far as the install goes, accommodate what's happening in there. Then I'm just gonna have to come back when the painters come in to mask things off to make sure they mask these cabinets off really well so we don't get any overspray on them. But that's what's happening. This stuff's going in. That's okay because I want it done. Finally, we've got paint going on and the first coat on the trim looks spectacular. All that time that was spent on prepping everything, filling holes, sanding, making sure it's perfect, this is where it pays off. Now, the first coat of finish is on, then we're gonna look at things which we are right now. By the way, I love the way this beading in this dining room is turning out. It looks stunning. So you'll see that there are some gaps around in between the panels and also some of the joints, but this is the time we do a final fill on those, and then Joe from Princeton puts that final coat of finish on all the trim. Now, one thing to note is that every step of the way, the products you use are so important. So on all the wood, Joe's used the Sherwin-Williams Sherwood primer. It's special for wood. So people think primer's primer, paint's paint, and it's not. You've got to use the right product. So that sets it up for a great finish. And then this origami white with a pearl finish on it, with a satin finish, it looks spectacular. So once that final coat is on and it's sprayed on, it's going to look meticulous. Now I've asked Joe to put off the finishing of the walls. So he's going to finish the trim, he's going to spray the ceiling, and by the way, this ceiling is out of this world. But I've asked him to put up the wall painting. Why? Because the floors are going in next, then the cabinetry is going in. I don't want damage on the walls. I don't want spot patches where they come and repair things. The only way to fix a wall once it's been damaged is to repaint the whole wall. So to avoid that, I've asked him to put that off till all that's done, and then it's going to come together beautifully.